Hey guys, what's up? It's sci-fi here, and I thought I would make a video explaining the basics of weapon modding, saying that Damage 3.0 isn't going to be coming out for another while, and I feel as if I didn't really cover it as properly as I could have in my Warframe Beginner's Guide series. So I'm just going to go through the basics of it. This is your modding section for your weapon. You have a mod capacity of 60 whenever your weapon hits max rank, and it also has an Orokin reactor installed on it. You can check that by just clicking the actions menu and checking this little icon is highlighted right here. So going back into your modding section, you can take a look. You see mine actually has some form of shapes on them. These are known as polarities. So your polarities are sorted here. So you have 3 different polarity types. So you have a V, a D, and a dash. The V is usually representative of your offensive mods, the D is usually representative of defensive mods, and the dash is usually representative of utility mods. In this case, D represents things like status chance, and then this cryo rounds mod. The V is usually representative of things like crit mods and other damage mods such as Suration. The dash is representative of elements and sometimes some critical chance mods, etc. So believe it or not, the modding section actually has some sort of order to it. So if we look at the order, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 slots, and it goes from the top left down to the bottom right, and that is the order in which the modding section pans out. So a usual rule of thumb for me is in the bottom right hand side, the 3 mod sections right here, I usually reserve them for heavy caliber, split chamber, if I can find it, and Suration. Why do I do that? Because that is basically going to increase all of your weapon's stats with no negative side to it. So you see our status chance went up, our impact went up, our puncture went up, and our slash went up. So that is a flat damage increase. Now if we wanted to increase that a little further, what we would do is add elements to our weapon. Now elements will give you particular bonuses versus particular enemies. So say you have a weapon which is dealing a lot of slash damage, puncture damage, impact damage. If you wanted to make it do more damage, what you would do is you would mod for an element which is going to deal more damage versus a particular enemy. Take for example an armored enemy, one with a yellow health bar. If you wanted to deal more damage to that armored enemy, what you would do would be mod for corrosive damage. So to make corrosive damage, you put on infected clip and you put on Stormbringer right beside each other in the modding section, and then you see that makes corrosive damage, which is 513. Why is it 513? Because we are taking 90% of our damage and turning it into toxic damage, and 90% of our damage and turning it into electrical damage, combining those two numbers together, and that will give us our total amount of damage in corrosive damage. This is known as an elemental combo making corrosive, and to make an elemental combo, both of these mods have to be beside each other in the modding section. Now keep in mind the order that I showed you going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. They always have to be beside each other. So if I wanted to make, let's say, corrosive damage, but I had Infected Clip and Stormbringer placed on the modding section like this, and then I want to add Hellfire instead, I would be making gas and electricity because Hellfire is beside Infected Clip instead of Stormbringer. So what I would simply do is just bring those beside each other, and there you go, now we have corrosive and heat damage. So usually on your weapon you're going to have 5 different damage types. You're going to have your 3 physical damage types, impact, puncture, and slash. And then you're going to have your 2 elemental damage type, such as corrosive and heat. So our last 2 mod slots can be reserved for extra mods which can increase our damage even further. Take for example, if we were to be going against infested enemies, we could throw on a mod such as Primed Bane of Grineer or Regular Bane of Grineer, which would multiply our damage by 5.5. Or alternatively, what we could do is we could add on more elemental damage. For example, we could throw on Thermite rounds right here to increase our total number of heat damage, or throw on a mod such as Rime rounds to make another elemental combo. But even though we do make another elemental combo, we make Blast. Blast isn't usually the best damage type versus the faction that we may be going up against, so we won't put that on. We could put on Malignant Force to increase our corrosive damage even further, or something like that. So the build that I have set right in front of you guys is the build that I use on my Bratton Prime for going against the faction known as the Grineer, as they are all armored enemies and they take more damage from corrosive elemental damage and heat elemental damage. So if we were modding the Bratton Prime for Corpus, instead of modding for corrosive and heat damage, we'd be modding for magnetic and toxin damage, represented by these mods right here. So Cryo Rounds and Stormbringer is going to give you magnetic damage, and then Infected Clip on its own is going to give you toxin damage. We would also be changing this mod right here to Prime Bane of Corpus instead of Prime Bane of Grineer. If we were modding versus Infested, we would be using the exact same build as we would be versus the Grineer, except changing the Prime Bane of Grineer to a Primed Bane of Infested. And that is a very simple breakdown of how to mod a weapon that doesn't go into critical chance or critical damage or status chance. If you have a particularly high status chance, you may want to mod for that, but because this weapon will benefit more from just going with raw damage, that's why we mod for raw damage over status chance. A weapon that has, let's say, 35% base status chance would be a weapon that you mod for status chance on, and a weapon that has, let's say, about 20% critical hit chance is a weapon that you'd mod for crit on. The mod for crit, basically what you would be doing is you'd be taking off Prime Bane of Infested and Malignant Force and then throwing on Vital Sense and then Point Strike, if I can find the mod right here. And then that would be you modding for crit. You see we now go up to a 25% critical chance and a 4.4 times critical multiplier. If we wanted the mod for status, we'd be using mods such as Rhyme Rounds and Thermite Rounds. So we would throw on, in this case, Malignant Force and maybe High Voltage, if I can find it. There it is, and now you see we have a 66.8 status chance. We could also take off, we could change Malignant Force, take off the Infected clip, and then put in Hellfire on that slot. So, not Hellfire, Thermite Rounds. And then there we go, we now have a 79% status chance, and then that's modding for status. But that's pretty much going to be it for modding. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe if you want to see more Warframe content from me, and that's going to be me for the next video. I messed up my intro because this is kind of just a video that I did on the fly because a lot of people on my Discord were asking questions on how to mod their weapons. But I hope if you came here for some knowledge, you got that knowledge, Ty Lopez meme. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.